I'm in the mood to tell a story. Are you in the mood to listen to one? If you are, then it's good we met, isn't it? So, this story is about a hunter and a bird. Now, this is fiction, so you'll have to suspend your disbelief a little. But I love this story because I think it shares a very important message. And therefore, I'd like to share this with you. So, there was a hunter who lived in a forest who made a living for himself and his family by hunting animals and birds. One day, when he went into the forest, he saw an exceptionally beautiful bird that he had never seen before. It was sitting on the branch of a tree, and he quietly came up behind it and grabbed it. As soon as he had grabbed the bird, even as he was admiring its beautiful colors and so on, the bird started crying and started begging the hunter to let her go. And the hunter was in no mood to let the bird go because he wanted to cook the bird and feed himself and his family. And he said that to the bird. He said, I can't let you go because I need to feed my family. And the bird cried and said, I'm so tiny, you're going to get nothing out of me in terms of meat. Do you really have to kill me? The hunter thought about it and then he said, well, what will I get if I let you go? Because I need to get something in return. And the bird said, I'll give you 3 pieces of advice that I have learned from some very wise souls that I've come across. It will be very useful for you in your life. So the hunter paused, thought about it a little and thought, well, the bird is right. There's not much meat on her. So he said, okay, I'll let you go then, in return for the 3 pieces of advice. The bird said, thank you so much, hunter, but there's just a little condition. And the hunter said, what's that condition? And the bird said, I'll give you the first piece of advice when I've flown out to the lowest branch of the tree. The second piece of advice I'll give you when I've gone up about midway the height of the tree. And the third piece of advice I'll give you when I'm at the very top. So the hunter thought a little and decided that wasn't a big deal for him. So he said, okay, that's fine. So he lets the bird go. She flies out, perches on the lowest branch of the tree, and gives the first piece of advice. The bird says, never regret beyond a point any mistakes that you've made. Don't beat yourself up. Don't torture yourself for any mistakes you might have made. Then she flies up the tree. And then she gives the second piece of advice. The bird says, never believe anything that goes against your rational thinking. If something seems illogical, don't believe it easily. And then the bird flies to the top of the tree and starts laughing. And the hunter is puzzled. He asks the bird, why are you laughing? And the bird says, oh my God, hunter, you are such a fool. You let me go, and that was a big mistake. And so the hunter says, why was that? And the bird says, I actually have two large diamonds within my body. They're very precious diamonds, they're priceless. If you had cut me apart, you would have got those two diamonds. And you'd never have had to hunt again, ever, because you would have had enough money to take care of yourself and your family for the rest of your lives. The hunter immediately slaps his forehead and goes, "Oh no, what a fool I've been, what an idiot I've been. I allowed this bird to trick me." And he starts literally crying, beating himself up. The bird's still sitting at the top of the tree, and the hunter looks up at the bird and says, "Well, you've tricked me, but is there anything else you wish to say? At least is there a third piece of advice that you'd like to give me now?" So the bird says, "There is no point in me giving you the third piece of advice, because you have already disregarded the two pearls of wisdom that I gave you." And he says, "How's that?" So the bird says, "What was my first piece of wisdom that I gave you? I said, never regret too much any mistakes that you make. And as soon as you thought you'd been tricked, you started beating yourself up. So you disregarded that advice. The second advice I gave you was never believe anything that seems irrational or illogical. But you believed that I could actually have two massive pieces of diamonds inside this little body and continue to live. How illogical is that? And yet you believed it. And now you're asking for the third piece of advice, having already disregarded the two pieces of advice that I gave you a few minutes ago. Anyway, let me give you the third piece of advice then. Never seek additional knowledge, more information, when you don't use the information or knowledge that you already have. Just think about that. Don't we do it all the time? I know I've been guilty of it. I've always sought to get more information, more certifications, more knowledge, when really I should have been using the knowledge I already had. And the last time this happened that I distinctly remember is when I actually chose to change careers. Since I was entering into a new career, I thought that I need to arm myself with all the qualifications that are there in this field. So just a coaching qualification I thought wasn't enough. I went and got a certification in NLP, CBT, and all that jargon. But it took me some time to realize that all that knowledge, all that information is worthless if I'm not going to use it in real life, in the practical world. And that's why I think I love this saying. I might have read it somewhere, or I might have heard someone say it. Knowledge is like makeup, because it's useful only when applied. That's it for today in terms of storytelling. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.